The Denver Broncos pulled off another great victory against the New York Jets in Week 4, and they get to now host the Las Vegas Raiders, who are coming off a victory against the Cleveland Browns in their Week 4 matchup. We're going to break down this Raiders-Broncos Week 5 matchup here. We're going to provide some of the key matchups you need to watch within the game, and also then, too, as well, provide our predictions at the very end of the video on why we think a team's going to win. But before we get into that, Brian and I, we do have a goal of getting to 100 new subscribers during this Week 5 prediction video series. We've been able to hit that goal over the past couple of weeks. So thank you to all of our new channel members. And if this is your first time here, or if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe to the Tracy Take. Leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win and why. So, Brian, I will say I think both teams can kind of agree to this, the Broncos and Raiders fan as well. Not impressive victories. I think that both y'all had today. However, that being said, I'm a Falcons fan, and neither was my victory, so I can't really say too much. But a win is a win, baby. Well, but all three of our teams are 2-2 on the season. So Denver Broncos as well pulled out and to be fair to the Broncos specifically as well, that was such a sloppy wet game. Like all the rain that they had there, it was tough to move around just in general. But props to the Broncos defense. They were able to really keep Aaron Rodgers in check, got him sacked 5 times today. And props, I'll also say, too, to the Broncos offensive line. Good job. I think just good overall playing and good job protecting Bo Nix, and then also too providing some good run blocking as well against a really good Jets defense. On the flip side as well, too, congrats on the Raiders for beating the Browns. It's not the most impressive victory, but that being said, you guys were out Adams and Crosby. Arguably 2 of your best players, I would say, and so to still come out with a victory without those guys is great. Kind of 4 weeks through the season so far, the end of the regular season, preseason, as you and I like to talk about, and so maybe it's not even that catchy or whatnot. But typically, though, September is normally a tough month for a lot of teams, or not for some teams. But now that kind of we're through 4 weeks, we really kind of get a good feeling for both these teams. What's your overall grade for both the Raiders and the Broncos at this point in the season?
Yeah, I mean, these are interesting teams. They're kind of hard to really put your finger on, especially after only the first month. We're still kind of trying to figure out what their identities are. I thought the Raiders would be, I don't want to say more of a defensive team, because I do feel like they are one of the better defensive teams in the league. But it just feels like they're kind of having to win these scrappy games, and that is, I guess, what I expected from them. They would be a scrappy team, and yeah, middle of the road is right where I thought they'd be. I did not think the Broncos would be here. I thought the Broncos were going to be one of the worst teams in the league, but they now have beat Tampa Bay and New York in back-to-back weeks, and yeah, I mean they've surprised me. They're a very well coached team. I know everybody drew the Bo Nix, Mac Jones comparisons, but it does remind me a little bit of the Mac Jones 2021 New England Patriots and this year's Denver Broncos, where it's they're just going to game manage, they're going to play good defense, and hopefully the chips will fall their way eventually at some point in the game. So that to me, I think is what the Broncos are. I am curious to see how this offense progresses, because Bo Nix did throw his first touchdown pass today. He had a good second half against a pretty solid Jets defense, and yeah, we'll see. It was definitely geared to not pass in that Jets game, but they still found a way in that second half. I think he threw for 67 yards and
60.
No, well, but they had -7 passing yards at halftime. So in the second half, he threw for 67 yards and a touchdown. So
yeah, it's just kind of a wild game overall. The first, I'm not including punts when I say this, but the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drives total had 3 offensive plays, not including punts. There were 2 fumbles that both happened to be on the third play of said drives, one by each team. And then on top of that, then too, there's 9 overall plays, a drive with just 3 offensive plays. So it was a very just kind of sloppy overall game, but good one just to grind out and win. I think to your Raiders point as well, I think their defense is has been solid, has been kind of what we expected, but their offense. Well, I said the Raiders, I think, are exactly the team that I thought they would be expecting. Maybe a little bit more pass pressure overall. Let me look to see. That being said, I take that back. They have. Oh no, they've given up 14 sacks on the season. Let me see. Actually, they only have 8 on the season so far through 4 games. So I thought maybe a little bit better, and they're slightly below average on some of the yards allowed statistics. But offensively, though, I think with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, that's kind of exactly what I would had expected them to be. And same thing I will say to Broncos and Bo Nix. I think they're maybe running the ball a little bit better than I had initially expected. I think the props, though, I think the offensive line, then also them too as well, to Sean Payton and just creating a good offensive system. But they're 19th overall in rushing yards per game. The thing to me, though, is probably the most shocking is going to be this Denver Broncos defense. Just how improved they are overall. 2nd in overall total yards allowed, 4th overall passing yards allowed, 11th in rushing yards allowed. And so they have 16 sacks on the season. And so that puts them at 2nd. I think only behind who are they behind? Right here, behind Minnesota. And I haven't updated the Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens games as well. So that potentially could change a little bit on some of those statistics. But in general, though, this Broncos defense is absolutely like the reason why they're 2-2 right now, just with the offense trying to struggle. They're not trying, are struggling. They're doing a great job at it. But they are improving in that aspect, not struggling as much. But in general, though, this is going to be a very interesting matchup here because it's going to be really, I think, how can the Raiders, especially if they're out without Devontae Adams, kind of score against this Denver Broncos defense, because they're playing lights out. The Browns defense sucked today because the Raiders are the 2nd worst rushing offense in the league, and they put up 150 rushing yards against the Cleveland Browns. That shows you how bad they are. They're still 2nd worst, and that's with a 150-yard performance of rushing. I don't think they're going to be able to rush at all against the Denver Broncos. It's going to have to really rely on the passing game. Is Devontae Adams' hamstring going to be healthy enough for him to play? Because they're really going to need him to go up against Pat Surtain. Because if it's Jacoby Myers versus Pat Surtain, then I think that's going to be a Broncos matchup that they won all day. So flip side, Brock Bowers is emerging also, and so it's at least another weapon that Gardner Minshew can lean on. So it's going to be a very fun matchup to watch for both these teams. I think it's going to be a similar type of grinded out defensive type game. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's going to be pretty low scoring as well. It's definitely going to be low scoring with the Broncos offense. And so even though I know they put up 26, I think, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 3. 26, mid-20s, I think, but still. And so impressive, I think, for both of these teams here. Let's kind of get into the final predictions. And so, Ryan, I'll throw it over to you here. Who do you have winning this game and why?
I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. I just think they're going to be slightly better. And if Devontae Adams doesn't play, I'm much more confident in that pick. But if Devontae Adams does play, I think it'll be a lot closer. But if they can't, if they are one-dimensional against this Broncos defense, I think they're going to set themselves up for failure. And then also, I do think that this Broncos offense will be able to probably get in more punches. And we've seen them kind of marginally improve every single week. And so I think Bo Nix and this offense can get it done.
Yeah. It's going to be fun to see what the Broncos do in the offseason. I know it's still this season, but if they could go get another weapon to go along Courtland Sutton, that would be pretty interesting as well. It'll be interesting to see. Marvin Mims took a major shot today. Have to see his overall status going into this game. But I'm also going to go with Denver. Also, I'm going to go with Denver even if Devontae Adams does play. It's not even like they've fully really utilized Devontae Adams. I know he had a really good game against Baltimore Ravens, but that was a lot of garbage time that I think the Ravens kind of let them back in on. And so I even think if Devontae Adams is playing, I think the Raiders are going to be really one-dimensional, and that's going to make them even easier, I think, to go up against because you really only have to send 4 guys because then you know that they can't run the ball at that point. So I'm going to go with Denver here, low-scoring game. I'll go – Bo Nix has another passing touchdown. I'll go 17-10.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going with them even if Devontae Adams plays or not. Yeah. And so I just think Denver is going to be the better team here. I could see the Raiders winning in a close game, but I'm leaning more towards Denver in this one. So let's go ahead, wrap it up here. If you guys have not already, go ahead and like and subscribe. It is the best way to help out the channel. While you're at it, go ahead and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Las Vegas Raiders? Will it be the Denver Broncos? And on that, we will see you guys next time.